All right, guys. So welcome. So we're going to be filming a podcast today. I'm here with the man. Have a look. Waly's back.
Welcome me back.
We haven't seen him in a while, and I've been getting a lot of DMs, Waly, of like, "Where's Waly? Where's Waly?" And I used to play that game as a kid. Sorry, terrible joke. But yeah, so we're in Dubai. Alex is in a meeting right now with Val, one of the student success managers. So he'll probably be joining us later on, or maybe in the next podcast. But this is our new home. So where if you could give a quick pan of how it's looking. So this is kind of, but we've just spent the last hour putting all these mics together and cameras and lighting, whatever, finding the optimal angles. So hopefully, let us know if it looks good when we are filming the podcast, how the production quality is, because it takes a long time. And these guys call me Steven Spielberg.
Maybe next time we'll do a podcast in the daytime so we can show them the view.
Yeah, so this was the plan. We're gonna film it with the daytime view, with the sun and the skyscrapers and everything. And by the time we got set up, the sun had set. So, and here's another thing. Is this acceptable? Short.
People are only going to
Things
see
on the podcast. If you're watching the intro, you know, but in the podcast, everyone can see. It's business time when I'm like this. So yeah, we're going to be filming a podcast right now. Just quick intro. So Waly is very competent when it comes to crypto. I myself basically know nothing. I'm invested, but I don't know too much. My investment advice has come from the man himself. Alex is pretty similar, so I'm going to be more taking a backseat in this podcast and just asking questions to Waly. And Waly has. I mean, we've been speaking for the last few days. I'm like, we should have filmed this. So we have a lot to unpack with him. So this should be a nice episode. So let's get right into it. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm here with a different man today. It is the W. Let's find out if it's W1 and W2, but I'm here with the man, Waly.
100% W1.
So yeah, Alex right now, he's in a meeting. So we thought we'd film this podcast until we get the third mic without him. And I'm sure in the next one, he'll be joining us. So in this podcast, we're going to speak a bit about kind of Waly. We did an unpack of my journey a bit about Alex's journey. So we'll get to uncover the man that is Waly and kind of what he's been up to for the last few months, his trading journey, now transitioning into crypto. And I think this podcast will end up very primarily crypto based.
Yeah.
And you know what? I knew you knew a lot of crypto. I know you've made a lot in crypto, but over the last few days that we've been speaking, I was like, man, we need to cut this conversation to put in a podcast. That happened yesterday at dinner. And then today again,
a couple hours ago, yeah.
So like, you know what, let's stop, let's pack everything, let's get everything set and then we'll film. So yeah, first of all, let's start, Waly, with what have you been up to for the last few months? You know, everyone's saying, where is Waly? So we want to know what's been happening.
I've been looking at the comments on YouTube. I've seen underneath the podcast, where's the other W, where's Waly? A lot of people in the community. But basically, I had a really major car crash in 5th of October. Car got fully written off. All the airbags got deployed. Me and my dad were in the car. And initially, I didn't feel any health complications with the crash.
Well, it's worth also mentioning what kind of car it was to understand the impact that would have had.
It was a rear wheel drive, so one of 999 R8. Yeah. So because it was limited edition, that's the only reason I bought it. I'm not really sports car guy and never had one, but I saw this one as kind of an investment opportunity. And also like
liability and asset.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, I didn't think I would be the person that crashed, but I know as time goes on, it's going to become one of 998, one of 997.
You told me this. You're like, I was like, Waly, why is it going to go up in value? You're like, yeah, because as more people crash them, there's less. There's only 999. Then people crash them, and there's less and less. Supply goes less, price goes up.
Exactly.
And yours is one of the ones that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, so the car got fully written off. Actually, I didn't exactly buy the car for myself. I bought it for my dad. As you guys know, I bought a Range Rover for him this time last year, and November last year. And then this year, I was like, okay, we've got a family car. Let's get him something.
How many cars have you bought in the last year?
A lot.
Be truthful.
I don't know if I should mention this, but...
Can I count them on one hand?
No.
There we go. We'll leave it at that.
No, you can't count them on one hand.
I mean, this is family members, your sister and whatever. So
yeah. So like there was a few deals I had with family members because all my siblings have come to that age where they're getting into uni and they're finishing A-level education. So I was like thinking in my head that I need to motivate them to get the good grades. So I kind of bribed them with the thing that if you like
not bribed, incentivized
them.
Sounds nice.
Incentivize them with this thing that, if you get these grades or if you get into this university for this degree, whatever, I'll get you a car, any car of your choice under a specific budget. Because obviously they're young as well. I don't want to give them something that they can't control. But yeah, going back to the crash, we hit a wall. So luckily no third party was involved. Lucky all of us are walking today because initially when I had the crash, I didn't expect, like I did have some lower back pains, but I was thinking it's only natural that after a car crash, this is what you'd
You
expect.
feel a tweak, yeah.
Yeah. And then what turned out happening was I ended up having 2 fractures on my lower L1 spinal bone.
Yeah.
And what that ended up leading to happening is obviously your nervous system and everything joins on in that area. And there was some fluid leaking from the spine, number one. And number two, it started messing with my mobility. So for like 2-3 weeks, I was fully fine. If you remember, we did the lit boot camp straight after the crash. And then suddenly out of nowhere, I ended up being in a wheelchair for a bit. And then it just propagated from there where I started losing feeling in my legs. And then we had, 3 months of physiotherapy. I had 3 different injections put in.
Spinal injections,
Yeah, spinal injections. I forgot the name.
You were in a wheelchair for a bit, from what I remember, That's crazy. So you started off leaving the accident, walking away, both you and your dad. And then I guess you went to the hospital to get checked out and everything was fine then. And then things started to deteriorate.
So that's a story in itself. I went to the hospital. I waited for like 4 or 5 hours and then lit boot camp started. I didn't get
no, but you had a car crash and you're waiting 4 hours to see a doctor.
Yeah. They all they did was check my blood pressure 3-4 times, and then it was my section in the boot camp. So I was like, I've already been here for 6 hours. I can see there's at least 40 people in front of me, so it's very unlikely that they're gonna check me today. So I just went and did my section in the boot camp, and then I was like, I went the next day again, and again I waited like at least 8 hours, and then no checkup, no nothing again. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm a man. I'm just gonna get through this, right? Take a couple of painkillers, and I'll eventually go.
Yeah.
And then obviously that left to like just day-to-day life, walking, whatever. Everything puts pressure on your spine, right? Even with standing up, all of these little activities that you would do, not knowingly just helping your mum move some, like taking the groceries in, like that. All of that is putting strain on your spine, and it propagated it and made it significantly worse. And then when I started losing sensation in my legs, that's when I actually thought, okay, now I need to get this checked out. And then I got the 3 injections put in, and now it's been just over 2 months since the injections, and I'm walking again. I do have some lower back pains now. Like I can't sleep in certain beds.
How long was that period of, you start to lose sensation in your leg? I remember we spoke on the phone, and then you're like, the night before the injection, we spoke on the phone, and then you had the injection, and then wheelchair period, physiotherapy period, recovery, and then eventually joining us back here.
I'll say to full recovery. Like I want, well, not full recoveries, but to an extent where I can function without getting in the way. About 6 weeks.
Quite a while.
So, but from what the doctors actually gave me as a plan on how long it should take, it was a lot faster because they were expecting 6 months to a year.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could have been in a wheelchair for 6 months.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
But physio, everything. I just stayed on top of everything.
You're lucky that you walked away and then you recovered. That's crazy. Yeah. So that's kind of why you've been missing for a bit. But now you're back here in Dubai, functioning at least. Maybe not the gym, but doing normal things. And then so that's kind of what's been happening. But let's uncover very quickly, kind of because me and Alex were speaking in the last podcast about our journey as a 3, and I said I'll let Waly speak for himself on that front. So I want to start back in day 1, Waly Trader, and it depends how much you want to mention now, and maybe we do a full podcast on it because I think this one should be a crypto one. But just give a backstory on who you are.
Okay, well, I started off trading typical concepts. Indicator strategies. There was one strategy I remember called the sheriff strategy that I used to trade all the time.
So I gave them a warning. I was like, I did retail, Alex did retail. We didn't do retail like Waly. Waly knows everything about every retail concept, from harmonics to this to that. So let's get into the sheriff strategy.
Like, the thing is, we're like, how much of a rabbit hole I go into. When I go into a rabbit hole, like my Netflix suggests me things I've already watched because I've finished Netflix. My YouTube suggests me videos that I've already watched because I've clocked all my suggestions. Now it's the same thing when it came to like trading. Like I was going to learn something, I'm going to learn it properly. And at that time, I wasn't aware of this smart money concepts and the refinements that we come across. It was just completely fresh. So initially, I saw some results from someone that was trading indicator strategy. So I got into that. Someone who brought me into the trading realm, they taught me the strategy. And to be honest, like, compared to what we're doing now, like 1 to 50 risk to reward ratio, this was like 1 to 0.5, where it was hit or miss. You got 30 pips stop loss and you close the trade after 10, 15 pips profit. It was never even like 1-to-1. It was always your win rate had to be higher every single time. You can't, like with a 1-to-1, you can get away with a 51% win rate. You'll still be profitable over time. No, this one, you minimum needed a 66% win rate.
I get that. I mean, you have two components when you come to trading, so your risk reward and win rate, and one will compensate for the other. If you have a high risk reward, you can have a low win rate. If you have a low risk reward, you can compensate with the risk reward. But so you were doing the less optimal one, the harder one, which is low risk reward, high win rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then one thing I learned actually from all these indicator strategies, because that's not the only one that I did. I did quite a few, but these strategies tend to be seasonal. Like they'll work for like 2 months and then the market conditions change.
But they actually work for a bit.
For a bit, yeah. To an extent, they work, and then suddenly they just stop working. I don't know why. And the indicators are all repainting and lagging. So a lot of the times where you're trying to figure out why did I go wrong, you don't really know why you went wrong. Sometimes like when you're backtesting and you're trading real. So when you're trading real time, you'd see, okay, this was a sell signal from the indicator and you took the trade. You come back to at the end of the day, obviously you hit stop loss by then or you hit take profit. But when you're backtesting it, that indicator is no longer showing a sell signal. The candle closes.
Because I know your story developed a lot over like within months and then years, where you started off very rudimentary retail, and then you went on to you went into a lot of things. Let's actually unpack let's say were the 3 top retail rabbit holes you went down. For example, myself, I went deep into Elliott Wave. I know you went into like 20, but what were the top 3?
Well, the first thing, which is surprising, is a signal service. And that signal service, it wasn't like high accuracy or anything, but I just got really lucky with the trades I chose to take with no reason at all, except for this is the trade that I'm available to see. So like maybe 2-3 notifications will go off on my phone, but maybe I'm sleeping, maybe I'm driving, whatever, working. I'm not seeing that notification. But that one notification I would see was the trade that would go hit TP.
Okay.
And I wasn't taught like proper risk management or anything. So it came to a point where literally full leverage on every trade. I'll open positions until I can't open.
Back in 2017, 18 or something? 18. Yeah. Okay, years ago now. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Make that clear. Okay, so you had a signal service. You were randomly selecting ones.
Yeah.
I remember this story. Go ahead.
I went, I think it was 8 or 9 trades back to back, full leverage, where every single trade won. Full leverage. Okay. And so I had a 1K account, like full leverage. By the time I hit TP, that 1K account is now a 5K account. Next trade took it to like 21, 22,000.
How are you doing full leverage? Just
opening positions till I can't no more.
Until you, okay.
Yeah, the signal will come, buy market. Okay, I'm going to buy market and just keep on going. Like 2 lots, stacking. And then it got to a point where I hit, I took a 1K account to 130,000 pounds.
I remember, yeah.
So 1K to 130,000 by full fluke.
And how many wins was that in a row?
I think it was 8 wins.
8 wins of full leverage.
Full leverage back to back. So like you're not getting 5-10% in a trade.
Like God.
Yeah, I thought I just started uni. Obviously, I dropped out of uni later on, but at that point, I was like, I'm not even going to start uni. This is the summer before uni, like that summer holiday period.
I made it.
I'm like, and this is the thing. I was at the time, I was in Hajj as well. So I was like, God is definitely blessing me. Like this is all barakah, and these are like, because I'm in such a holy site, and these are the rewards for maybe this good thing I was doing.
Max lot. On your way,
literally
do a tawaf, max lot.
Literally, there was, I think in Mina I entered the trade, and that went to full thing as well. And then 2 days before I'm coming back, so the way the pilgrimage works, you spend like around 5 days in Mecca, and that's the Hajj period. We spent about 12. Then after that, you go to another city called Medina, and you spend a couple of days there. So we were spending a week in Medina, and 3 days before my flight back to UK, a signal came on USD JPY to sell USD JPY, and I'll never forget that trade because again I max leveraged. And I blew the account, all 130K gone, but not just that, the broker went negative. I owed the broker about 2 grand.
No way, man.
Yeah.
You went from, pre-uni student, up 6 figures, and then like that.
And this is the thing, like I never cashed out a penny. I never withdrew a penny. Because in my mind,
like you're up 100K. At what point is like, I'm happy to cash this out?
This is the thing, it's like the ego that grows with every single trade. Like you think you can't lose. And I was like, initially I was like 10 grand, I'm going to take my money out and I'm going to buy a car or something. Then 10 grand came out. Like, okay, 100 grand, I'm going to take my money out, make a few investments, whatever. And then like whatever investments I make, I'm sorted for my age. Like I'm 21, I got 100 grand worth of investments. And then 100 grand comes and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take anything out till $1 million. And the rate that I was growing, I was like, $1 million is only 3 trades away.
Literally.
$1 million is literally only three trades away. And
but blowing that account was inevitable. If you're max, you needed 100% win rate for that to play out.
Yeah.
So that was expected. How was that like feeling of, that's not money you could ignore. That could have been your graduate salary for 3 years or something.
I think initially at the time, I was like the moment it happened, I was like, obviously trading's not for me. I'm just going to give up on it. Because the thing is, I did start off from 1K. And if I came back to 1K, I would have thought to myself, okay, at least the money I put in is still there. But I didn't just lose the money I put in. I went negative on the broker. And I didn't know at the time you can just shut down the account or write an email to them and they kind of reimburse it to zero. They'll make a condition with you. If you're £2,500 negative, they'll tell you, put in 2,500 again and we'll reimburse you to zero. So you have full 2,500 instead of going to zero, if that makes sense. So I didn't know about any of them things. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I need to pay back the broker now. I'm in debt with them. They have my address. They have my passport. I gave my ID to make the account, all of these things. Yeah, I'm like, what's going to happen? Who do I owe? Like, because I had no understanding of it. Who do I give my money to? Like, what happens now? And then later on, like after a few days when I was like, okay, if I did it once, I can definitely do it again. But I know I didn't do it properly. It was all luck. It was all gambling.
Okay, you came to that awareness at least.
Yeah. I came to that by myself and I was like, okay, now I need to teach myself. And I was like, okay, the people I've been relying on, maybe not the best, but let me look for outside resources. Let me just go online, see YouTube videos, whatever I could find. And then I just started absorbing information like
Before we get into that, I want to kind of unpack, because your upbringing or how you were in your teen years was a bit different to myself and Alex, where you were hustling for cash, doing different jobs and sometimes 2 or 3 jobs at once. So that 1K you put into that broker meant something. It was your hard-earned cash.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to touch on that kind of stage of your life.
Well, I'll say my childhood wasn't like everyone else's childhood, because I went to an Islamic boarding school. So I was there for 8 years and then I graduated as an alim. And I came out at the age of 19.
For a non-Muslim, what is an alim?
Like a imam or leader, like a scholar, Islamic priest, however you want to look at it. But I came out at 19 and by then I hadn't even done my college yet. So technically, like people start college at 16. I'm 19. I haven't started college yet. So mentally, I always was in the mindset I'm 3 years behind. By the time I finished college, I'm 21. People have finished their degrees and getting their graduate positions.
Right.
And I'm in my head, I'm 3 years behind everyone. I need to catch up on that. So I started doing private tutoring. I had delivery jobs, working for initially a family takeaway and then some friends takeaways. But I got to a point where I'm not gonna lie, I was like, it was a lot of hard work, but I was making decent money. Like I was making close to £1,000 a week. From everything that I was doing.
That's a lot.
But yeah, because I used to charge them £15 an hour for private tutoring. And I used to do about
Quran reading.
Quran reading, maths, English, anything. Anything under SATs level. So I just teach them up to SATs. I had 1 or 2 students I'll teach at GCSE level. But I didn't want to do that because I didn't really have any qualifications except for, I got these grades in A levels. I got these grades in, well, not even A levels, GCSEs at the point, at the time. But then, so I had private tutoring, £15 an hour. I had 24 lessons in the week. So that used to be good, £360.
Yeah.
Then in the mosque I used to teach, that used to be about £140 a week. And then...
Because you're an alim.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I used to, at the time I used to do deliveries. And then with the deliveries, it used to vary because you're not paid on your hours. You're paid on how many deliveries you do and the distance of each delivery. So like... we had the locals and you had the ones that are like 2 miles out. They would pay you like £3.80 per delivery if you're 2 miles out.
Okay.
If you're 4 to 5 miles out, then you get £5 per delivery. But there's nothing like no security.
You have to pay for your own fuel and car expenses.
Car insurance, tires, all of that kind of stuff you have to do yourself. But that on a good day, like with tips and everything, because I used to work weekends mainly, so tips used to be high. So in a good weekend, I'd make close to £400. Thursday to
alongside
Sunday.
College?
Yeah, alongside college.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So at that time, I was doing all 4 of my A-levels at the time as well. So
college is in like sixth form?
Okay.
Your A-level years, which is the hard studying years. You're doing tutoring, teaching at the mosque, and then on the weekends, deliveries. Hustling for cash.
So even like, I'll say that 1K was painful because like, it's not 1K that I asked my dad for, like, oh, give me 1K and let me invest it. It was like, I'd look at that as one full week. Like, and at that time, my weeks were like 40-hour work weeks,
It's a lot, yeah.
plus college. So like education, everything combined is like your 70, 80 hours are gone into other things. So you don't have much time for yourself. So it's like, you don't just think it's, oh, this many hours I did deliveries. You think, oh, that's this many trips with the boys I sacrificed, or going to chill and stuff like that.
Cost, okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
so now come back to that part of you've blown that 130k that you fluked your way to,
yeah.
and now you're like, okay, you realize you need to be a bit more sensible and start from the ground up.
Yeah, so as my initial research just started from YouTube. So it's like I was part of an academy before as well. There's educators that I used to follow. I learned what I could from them, and then just online research, trying to piece things together. I'd have like one day I might actually show it, like my backtest log. I got a screenshot of every single trade I've taken since 2018.
Yeah, we showed that in the bootcamp. And what is it? How many screenshots? 6,000 plus?
6,000 plus.
I remember one bootcamp, we had to wait like 5 minutes for it to load.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because you see your first trades of like 1-to-1 risk to reward and just a trend line. And then sometimes our Zoom calls with Alex and you can see like us in the top right corner, you take a screenshot of an analysis we took live. That's cool. One day we'll definitely show that.
Yeah, that's quite a, I don't know, it's quite a proud thing to look at. Even now when I look back and you can see like your journey. One thing on my trading view, right at the beginning, I didn't know where to seek help from. So I show this to the students in the bootcamp as well. Like if you go on my trading view and you see my publishings, I only got one publishing, and that's a trade on USD JPY again, where even the trend line is drawn on wrong. And I literally just on the caption, I'd go, any ideas where I can improve? And I got no responses.
You were even asking TradingView community to help.
This guy's hopeless. We can't.
No, but that's crazy to say that you have a journal of 6,000 plus screenshots, not back testing, whatever, but actual trades you were taking in the moment. Because I remember them there as you're about to enter the trade and then how it played out. And that's your journal for your learning. But then that just has become a story of your journey over 3-4 years of how it was when you were not profitable to becoming profitable in retail. We should talk about that because me and Alex didn't get profitable with retail. You definitely did. And then transitioning into kind of the level we are now. So how was that? So let's talk about the 3 top retail things you were working on, the rabbit holes you went down that kind of helped you improve.
Okay. There's trend line, support resistance lines, everyone's heard of, whatever. But there's one thing I used to use in conjunction with a trend line. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called the counter trend line cross, and it's called the heart line.
I know because you've taught me this, but I don't think many people do.
What you have is you have a trend line on the top, you have a trend line at the bottom. So you make like a channel, and then you draw a fib on each end of the channel, and you join a line from the 50%.
Okay.
So you got that middle line.
It's a middle trend line.
Yeah, middle trend line. And that's the heart line. And I actually learned this from a good friend of mine, actually. He's the one that put me onto it. So it's not something I discovered myself. But I found that every single time there's quite aggressively a break and retest of that heart line. So you can always double up on your positions.
Okay.
So like if you're buying from the bottom of the lower line, that one buy can become 2 buys.
Okay.
And by then, like I
mean, that only works if you're in a trend and that trend sustains.
Yeah.
But the moment that trend shifts, you take a couple losses.
The way I was trading, I'd be able to spot a trend shift within the first move.
Okay. Because that was the risk reward on that kind of variance.
1 to 4, 1 to 5.
Oh, so not even bad. Actually.
Better than 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And I had like the break-even protocols that I cover with the students. That's how that all came about, because with the heart line, I always used to add a second position.
As in the break-even with the partial protocol?
Yeah.
That one. Okay.
Yeah. So how do you add a second position but still keep the profits you made from the first position? Because like if you're only 1% up and you're risking 1% on the next trade, technically you cancel out both, even if you're break even.
Yeah.
So like I come across all them protocols like that. So that was one really good one. Another one was how I trade zones, ranges. So if the range is within a descending triangle or ascending triangle, wedge patterns, pennants, or anything like that, then I had a fib that I would use, and it always, I'm not going to go into it because too much, because it doesn't really work. So I don't want someone to start backtesting it and like.
I think all of these are like elements of your journey, but they've all been put away to a side for a reason,
Yeah.
because what we're doing now is way superior. But it's interesting to hear that you found profitability where majority don't. I didn't, Alex didn't, in this retail realm. We're still in the retail realm, but let's say the more known concepts, and you made it work, which is crazy. All right, let's get into the next one.
And the next one, I don't know if there really is a third one that's not common already, but I think mainly it's just how you combine all these concepts together. And so like even like when I'm marking up a chart, maybe we'll put one of the old charts up just so they can see.
Yeah.
Like I'd look for trend lines, and I'd look for break and retest of the next trend line. I'll look for fib levels, support resistance zones, patterns.
You put a lot of things
like
on.
A lot of things. Like I won't enter a trade with just 1-2 confirmations. It'll be good.
Actually, that presentation we made that right when WWA started, where we did a comparison of retail versus, where is that? Maybe it's on our YouTube channel, but it's in our the link in our bio, the webinar, the masterclass. You because I didn't want to do it. We did a comparison of perfect retail where you had trend line, counter trend line, inner trend line, outer trend line, Fibonacci,
we had like good 10 confirmations for
EMAs,
that
and like a retail dream, like a perfect retail analysis, and then comparing it to kind of what we're doing. But that's essentially where your trading reached in terms of retail.
Yeah. And then, like when we started trading together, if you remember right at the beginning, like I was trying to merge the concepts together because at that time, like when we've all first met, like even the notion of smart money concepts, like we've known about it for maybe 2-3 months ourselves maximum. So by no means were we experts at it. So like I'd find the trade based on smart money concepts, but I'd use retail just to confirm it, which is so counterintuitive now. Because like you think smart money concepts is to destroy retail, like take out retail zones. But I'd like use the way I used to trade to confirm that like if that's a buy still then I'll still enter that buy or else no.
I mean, it makes sense because of course smart money finds the pitfalls of retail. I mean, liquidity zones, etc. But at times your retail, not at times, it was working for you. So we know that for you, retail was working in the concoction you had made, and then you added additional confirmation of smart money. And I remember that was really strong trading period for you. That was September to November-ish of 2019. 2019, yeah.
Was it 2019? Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. And that's when we had just met. So, I mean, I'll very briefly touch on how we met. It was kind of random. Basically, a mutual friend put us into contact. He's like, man, I know this guy, Waly. He's a beast. And I was like, how does he trade? He was like, he's got this trend line thing going on. And immediately when he was kind of explaining your charts, he even sent me a picture of your chart. I was like,
what's this?
I was like, yeah, right. Because you hear so many people like, oh, this guy's made millions, this guy's made millions. And, reality is most of them are just smoke and mirrors. So I wasn't very keen to meet you, to be honest. I was like, okay, whatever. But then he kept emphasizing like, oh, Waly took the same trade. Waly did, he got this, and same trades I was taking. I was like, okay, quite interesting that he's getting similar analysis. So eventually we did meet on Zoom. And I don't know if you remember the vibe, but I was kind of trying to expose you. I was like, this guy supposedly is this and that, and he's made this amount, whatever. Let me get to the bottom of this. And because I've been in the industry a decent amount of time, I kind of knew when what kind of questions to ask to see if they're waffling, essentially.
Yeah, it was like an interview, innit?
I interviewed.
But then I think at the end of that conversation, we went on for like 4 or 5 hours.
It was a long one, and I remember you were like saying things that only a certain person in your position would know, and not someone who's pretending. So that's kind of where I got the reassurance. And what happened next?
So that was around the time where obviously we started doing our Zoom calls, like maybe 2-3 weeks after that.
And that's when I put you in a group chat with Alex, because I just met him like a month before. I really, vibed with him. I liked his analysis. I liked his character. Just met you, kind of clicked there. I didn't have a trading team.
That's how the name WWA came about.
It clicked and it stuck. It was just, okay, I have this friend Waly, I have this friend Alex. Let me bring them together and let's make like a trading team. Because I don't really have like circle or team, and I don't think you really did. And Alex was looking for that, which is why he connected with me. So I just made a group chat on WhatsApp. I don't know what to call it, WWA, and kind of has stuck since. And then that's when our daily Zoom calls began.
I think that's when I saw the most growth in my personal trading as well. That period was like maybe that 7-8 months in terms of like right now. So like, it's diminishing returns to an extent in it where you go up, then you're looking for more information. You're trying to, and because a lot of the stuff we figured out ourselves. And now we're like, okay, how do we improve? And we're still finding things, but nowhere near how we are like finding things every other day at that point.
Yeah, it was actually a lot. And this is why we mentioned in the boot camps, it's like that team we had, the inner circle, where we are, texting all day, and then the rest of the day we are on Zoom calls, kind of just trying to propel each other. That period is where we saw our most growth. And yeah, we are at different levels coming into it, but we kind of left that 1 year period of daily 9-hour Zoom calls, way better traders, and learn things together, bounce ideas off each other. So I think that is super critical for anyone coming into trading,
definitely.
Which is why we have both in Lit and WWA, we try to make mini teams of, let's say, the January bootcamp, they're going to be grouped off into groups of 5 so that they can have their inner circle, so that they can do daily Zoom calls and grow together.
Even when we first started actually taking on students, the first thing we said was, you know what, like I spend most of my time analyzing JPY pairs. Like GBP JPY was my favorite currency pair, to the extent where that's the only pair I managed to give 2 1-to-100s as a signal.
Man, you smashed it, yeah.
2 1-to-100s as a signal. One was given to on my public Telegram as well, and one was to the community. But I was like, okay,
I don't think anyone publicly has given a 1-to-100 signal. So yeah, man, when you get into those little groups and then you see those growths, I think that's the sole reason all 3 of us attribute to our progression. Okay, this is where we get into the topic of you dropping out of uni. Which is why you've always been the devil in my ear when I was in my second to last year. Last year, you're like, well, come on, man, just drop out. And I'm just studying, trying to do my exams, and I'm on 2 hours sleeping. I just drop out.
But at the end, I was telling you, like, actually finish it so we can open up some clinics together.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know the logistics of it, but maybe one day we'll see WWA dentists.
So that story is essentially you had that summer pre-uni where you made a lot, lost a lot, that 100K to 0. And then you started learning. And in your first year of uni, did you see progress then of financially?
I'll say after like maybe 3-4 months of learning hardcore, like the thing is, I kept myself really disciplined. Like, so similar to
when we were studying like most people.
Yeah. So I was like, I had a day-to-day routine. And because I was in that work environment and everything, it just made it such that for trading, I had to make sacrifices. Like if I'm coming from deliveries at 1 a.m. and then I go...
You kept up all 3 jobs with uni?
Yeah, at that point.
So 3 jobs, uni, and then big trading commitment.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So what happened was like I'll come back from deliveries like at 1 a.m. and I know, okay, it's 1 a.m. now. I got uni in the uni in the morning. I need to probably wake up like 8 a.m. to get there for 9. Because my uni was like half an hour away, breakfast, traffic, all of that included. So that's the only 7 hours I have to utilize. So like at nighttime I take out 1-2 hours, and that's why JPY was my main pair, because it moves the most. Well, it doesn't move the most, but it moves a lot in that session compared to the others, and that's why
compared to USDs or GBPs.
That's why I became really good with that and really good with AED CAD. Them 2 pairs, I don't know, they done me they done me good justice. Them 2 pairs. But yeah, when I started seeing results in uni, obviously the first thing doesn't come in mind that I'm going to drop everything now. By then I was a bit more rational. It wasn't like the first time I made 100K, I'm going to retire for life now. It wasn't any of that. But then I was like, okay, let me see if I can keep up these results consistently. I'm not going to mention the milestone, but I set a mental milestone for myself that if I hit this, I know I can like live off this forever. And then at the time when I was choosing my degree, I chose civil engineering as a degree, and I entered the MEng course. And like
MEng being master in engineering.
Yeah, so masters, integrated masters. So like the course seemed really fun in the sense where I was like, okay, I'm going to do civil engineering. And then it was in my mind, like I'm going to move to Dubai, and we can, like, civil engineers are really high salary here in Dubai because, well, there's so much construction going on. But then I realized, like, the reality of the job, you're just standing outside in the rain most of the time.
Or in the sun.
Yeah. Well, here in the sun, but in the UK, like, you're tarmacking the M6 at nighttime, or you're watching people do that. It didn't seem like the job of my dreams anymore.
Okay.
So mentally, like, I dissociated myself from civil engineering. But at that point, I was like, maybe I'm going to just change to chemical engineering or something like that.
You were still set on uni.
Yeah. And then I hit that milestone, and I was like, okay, now I hit the milestone, and I feel like I'm at a point where I need to put more energy and time into trading. And now uni is becoming a hindrance for it. It's coming in the way. So that was the balance.
What kind of caused that transition in your mind? It was out of love with engineering, or the financial side of trading, or the potential you were seeing?
The potential I was seeing in trading at that time. Like, obviously I hit my milestone by then.
And why was it? Because you hit the milestone. Because you obviously saw potential in day one, because you made 100K, you lost 100K, so you knew potential was there, but you were hitting milestones.
Now I was thinking with more reason. Like, it's not just, okay, make this much and vanish. No, I was like, okay, make this much, but can I sustainably make a certain amount of income every month? I was hitting my monthly targets, my weekly targets, my even my annual. Like, I was
Why do you
hitting,
think that is? I'm playing devil's advocate here because I know loads of people are thinking, at least they're putting in consistent hours, they're back testing, they're trying to figure things out, they're going to different resources online, YouTube, but they're not seeing those results, they're not seeing the milestones. What kind of was the element that you thought helped you get to those milestones? Because I remember, and I've seen them, they're not small milestones, they're proper milestones.
to be honest, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm some gifted person or something, but I'd say I did put a lot of time in. Like, if you just like screenshots folder, 6,000 plus executed trade, but to get 6,000 executed trades, you need 60,000 analyzed trades. You say 10,000 journal. Like, I did 10,000 trade journal probably in my first 3-4 months.
I remember just to talk on that natural side. First of all, you have a different way with numbers. Like for example, I need to see the chart, and if I'm typing into my MetaTrader, I have to go back to see my entry as if I'm doing a limit, and then do the stop loss separately because I forget. But you would have 3 tabs open and be watching Netflix and just seeing the tab. It's like, okay, price is down 5 pips, right? And you do quick mental maths like that. Or I remember one time we were filling out a company's house and you had to put in you had to fill out my phone number. So I told it you once, you'd memorized it for life, just away with numbers.
I think that's just a gift I picked up in.
But you remember the other one you did? It was the Fibonacci. There'll be a impulse on the market structure, and you could get
61.8 from eyeball.
Basically to the pip, eyeballing a 61.8, and then you're like 61.8 is here, and I'd pick it randomly, like go to this pair, go to here. Where's 61.8? Boom, there. Then we actually pull the fib, and it's actually spot on.
You know what's funny?
That's chart time.
Reem didn't believe me I could do that, and I did it in front of him, and he was mind blowing. He's like, "Wow!"
I mean, that's not really a usable skill, but it's more so to show that you have spent so much hours on TradingView, doing different things.
That's the only thing I'll boil it down to, like hours. And then, like when it came to make the decision to take trading full time, then I took that leap of faith.
Okay.
Because like a lot of people get comfortable where they are, and like they'll be like, okay, you know what, I got a set path for me, and they don't want to deviate from that path. And that's why I had to do all these sneaky things when it came to dropping out from uni. So I think you touched on it on the previous podcast a little bit with Alex.
Just touched on it, but I want to go into that. It's a cool one.
Yeah, so when that choice came, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it 1-2 months and just see how it goes. From that point, I made my mind. But I asked for the it's like a form you have to fill in to drop out from uni, because you've taken on student finance, whatever, so the next payment doesn't come in.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this form, but I'm not gonna fill it in just yet. I'm just gonna let the next 1 or 2 months play out, and then I'm gonna make my decision.
Okay.
Next 1 or 2 months.
What year is this? 2018? No, 19 now, I guess.
Yeah, 19.
2019. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so around March time came, so I'm like halfway through the secular year now. And I was like, I've hit every target I set for myself. Like, they're all gone now. Yeah. Every single one of my targets. And to be fair, it was a really short journey. Like, if you look at the journey, it's only from blowing the account in August 2018 to March 2019, I was considering dropping out. And then by May time, I fully dropped out. So it's about to be the close of the year. I remember my lecturer said to me as well, because I got a first in first year.
Okay.
Obviously, first year grade don't count towards your final thing, and it's obviously it's the easiest year. But they were like, this doesn't make sense. But I didn't want to say I'm dropping out because of these and these reasons. I was just like, I got mental issues.
Okay.
That's literally what I said to them. Because I know like that if I say that, then they're not going to pester me and they're not going to try bringing me back, whatever.
Okay.
Because I had good relationship with a lot of the lecturers as well. Then I dropped out, but Asian boy problems. You can't tell your mom and dad that you've dropped out of uni. Yeah. And I teased it a little bit with my mom and dad. I was like, because by that time, like there was certain big financial commitments at home I was helping out with. And my parents were like, where's this money coming from? Like at one point, I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure my parents thought I was a drug dealer. Like 100, because I'm doing delivery, so I'm out till late at night anyway, but that's just from work. And then like, okay, now that period has gone for a couple of months. Okay, so you're not...
You stopped deliveries?
Yeah, okay. I stopped deliveries, but still maybe it's money from there, whatever. I don't know. They had loads of thoughts in their head. And I didn't know how to explain trading to my dad because he's not even the most fluent in English. So I didn't know how to explain it to my dad. My mom knows nothing of English. So I don't know how to explain it to her. And just like investments. They don't know what investments are.
Okay.
And again, they're like, obviously they don't think it's something sustainable. So when I tease that idea with them, my dad's like, don't you dare. Literally, like, don't you dare. As long as you're under my roof, like you're going to go to uni, you're going to sell. And the thing with my dad is, I don't like blame him for having that mindset, is because
from a place of love.
Yeah. And he sacrificed so much for mine and my brother's education. Like from year 4, I was in some form of Islamic private school.
Yeah, boarding school is not
Yeah.
cheap, and he's not earning much. He's an imam, so he's not earning much.
I'd say my dad's base salary was under 25K, at that point. So
and sending
supporting
two
me,
kids to private boarding school for 10 years or whatever. Yeah.
So there's a big commitment from him, and obviously I mentally I didn't want to let him down as well. Like,
of course,
what's gonna happen, whatever. And then so I was like, okay, you know what? I came up with this plan that I'm gonna pretend I'm in uni, but there's a coffee shop down the road. Every single day, I'm just gonna go to that coffee shop.
Yeah.
They know my schedule, so they know every Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, I'm meant to have uni. So every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll just wake up at 8 a.m., go to the coffee shop, and then
go to lectures, hop on Zoom.
Technically, go to lectures. Yeah,
hop on Zoom with the boys.
Yeah. We'd trade together. Sometimes, like, we'd finish the call, but I have to sit in the coffee shop for 1 hour extra because I know I don't come home at that time.
Okay.
So, like, I'll just chill for another hour and then go home. I don't know how much money I spent there because they didn't like me sitting for 8 hours and only buying one coffee.
Yeah, they got
so I had to have like
muffins.
Yeah, like 3-4 coffees every single. And I think that's where the coffee addiction came from.
Right.
Because now, like, every morning I wake up, if I don't have my coffee, I'm grumpy. Like, my mood's not right until my coffee's there. But
that's crazy. That was basically a year straight of commitment of Zoom calls every single day for all of New York sessions, some of London sessions, like hours and hours a day. And this is what I said in the last one, that trading doesn't take that long. Like you do your analysis, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you mark out your trades, whatever, execute them, put the limits, maximum 30 minutes of real work needed. But we're still on Zoom for another 7-8 hours on top of that. And that's where we're refining back testing and stress testing. We did a lot in that year.
Yeah, there was times where we just like so many trading concepts we like completely like we tested them, we just dismissed it completely, and it's not part of our thing. And there's trading concepts that we talk and we just like, okay, you know what, this might be something. Let's just try this variable, it doesn't work. Try that variable, it doesn't work. Change this, and then okay, now we found something that works to a decent degree, but does it work with the rest of the strategy now?
Let's go into that story of the banker block where you came across it or came up with the idea, and how do we decide this banker block is legit, worth adding into our system? We're now using it in our system because it was a multi-part process over like a month.
I think we actually showed the MyFX book to one of the student groups. It's not something we like share.
2020 bootcamp or something we showed.
But what happened was, so there was times where we'd like maybe for some reason be busy in a session and we'd miss an entry on a trade. So we're like, okay, how do we get the entry on that trade? Like, because 1 to 50 doesn't play out. Like, yeah, sometimes it does happen where 1 to 50, 1 to 100 will play out in a second. But there's multiple opportunities to get in, which we know now, but at that time we didn't. So we're like, is it a one-off thing that trade will appear and we missed it and it's gone? Or is it
like it's at the top, you only get in the top or nothing?
Yeah.
Of course, along the way, there's multiple get entries,
opportunities to get in. So we just like played with this idea that, okay, maybe if we get, without going too much into some form of structure break and some form of order flow being confirmed, then maybe we can get in on following tests. And there was conditions like what counts as a test and what doesn't count as a test. Then we're like, okay, this is the first time where we did something like this, where we put a bit of money into a trading account and we just tested it for a month. We'd execute trades as we do, but the only thing we changed was the banker block. The only trades we executed was without confirmation and the banker block to see if we're profitable. So we got our normal accounts where we're trading.
It's the control,
the rest
our
of the
normal
trade.
ones, and then this with only one variable different.
Yeah. And then we saw that, okay, because of this banker block topic, we're getting into so many more trades, number one. Where on the other account, where maybe we're taking 1, 2, 3 trades a week, this one we're taking like 5, 6, 7. Like the opportunities that we class as missed opportunities are no longer missed opportunities.
Or we double down on trades, re-entries,
And then in the course of literally a month, that account is 670%. And by the second month, it went to like 1,500% growth. And then we're like, okay, this is something that like it has to come into
I mean, that was your account. What percent risk were you doing at that on that account?
It was 3% risk per trade.
Okay, that's why it's so high.
I remember the risk of ruin to blow more than 50% of the account was 0.03%. So the chances of going like from £1,000 going down to £500 was 0.03%, which is actually quite impressive. Like that's practically impossible. Like they're telling you you'll never blow an account. Of course, you go
negative, whatever. But no, I remember that one, and that's kind of when we decided, okay, we've backtested in theory in our Zoom calls, and now we're kind of let's test it. We stress tested it with an account, did good. And then we finally added it into our confirmation set, into our strategy, and now in the bootcamp and taught in the bootcamp. So yeah, I'm sure when Alex is on a podcast, we can speak more in depth of that year, what we got up to. But then at the tail end of that year, so it was kind of September, our Zoom call started, and we kept going Zoom calls until, that's when COVID started, right? And then lockdowns, was it that year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
2020.
2020. Yeah. So, lockdown started, then, my uni, everything's online, and Alex has now flown back from the US to Europe. And now, the Zoom call times align better for him. So we're now like, okay, so this is how WWE essentially started.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of DMs up until that point because I had my Telegram group, which had grown for no reason. And then I think Alex didn't really have an audience. You didn't really have an audience, or had something. But then because we started posting things together, I think you and Alex opened up a Telegram at that point, and we were associated together because if I got a trade and it was your analysis, I'll tag you, you tag me at times, and we're tagging each other, promoting each other, let's say. So everybody kind of started to understand we are associated, or we're friends, or in that trading group. And then we used to get DMs all the time, like, can you teach us? Can you teach us? And we were just like, no, we don't teach.
At that moment, it didn't make sense to me because like teaching was never something like even in the back of my head, like it wasn't something that like maybe I've seen some stuff and there was a little bit of an idea, but I never thought like because I'm not a very confident speaker, number one. So I didn't think like I'll overcome that shyness and actually be able to speak in front of people.
Oh, so it wasn't like you don't feel like a teacher from credentials because you'd already dropped out of uni at that point. You're already a full-time trader for a while. You hadn't broken to your parents yet, but I mean, you were essentially doing what people aspire to be. And then, I think it was inevitable. I think another thing to give yourself credit for is that you had been teaching for years through your Quran classes and through your tutoring, and you're doing this for 20 plus hours a week, and that was for more than a year. So you definitely, had that teaching experience, and also inside you, like you could have done that.
I was teaching kids for quite a while, but like there's a difference between teaching kids and then teaching adults, and then in my mind there was a point where I didn't want anyone to ever potentially maybe even lose money
on your word,
on my word. So that's why like even like with signals, even though I think on my public Telegram I gave 8 signals as far as I remember. Obviously there was the 1 to 100 one. There was 4 that went to 1 to 20, 1 to 50 plus. And then there was
in Discord, you're giving a lot.
Yeah, in Discord, but with the students, it's more like a family thing. I don't feel like I'm gonna get penalized for it. But with the public,
your reputation is on the line on each one, because if that goes for a loss, like you can't trade on the back of one trade. But students will realize, okay, we've seen hundreds of his trades, we've seen a lot of his analysis, so you don't have that negative impact. Fair enough.
I remember there was actually one person when I gave the signal on USD CAD in Madrid when we went shopping in Las Rosas, if you remember. Yeah. That hit like a 1 to 30 in the session, but it was like a 3 pip stop loss, and it went into drawdown like 1.5 pips, which is nothing. Like you're in drawdown from, but the thing was, it was like a consolidative phase on M1. So even though it was in drawdown 1.5 pips, it was in drawdown for like good 15 minutes or something. And in that time, someone like sent me a message like, bro, what have you done?
Clearly over leveraged. Clearly it's over leveraged.
It's one point, like how badly do you have to over leverage to panic over 1.5 pips of drawdown, considering it's a 3 pip stop. And then that trade blew on to hit like a 1 to 25 within that thingy, within that trading session. And then it was a Friday, so the weekend happened, whatever. The market came back next week, went on a bit more. But I told everyone to close the trade by the end of that Friday. But by that night, the guy's thanking me now. By that night, he's like, bro, I can finally afford the bootcamp now. And I was like,
this is a public signal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, like, but it showed me how malleable your reputation is to the public over one little thing.
Yeah.
Like people don't even give you that chance to watch it play out. Like if he gave me just 1 hour, he would have been a significant amount of profit.
No, I think it was the other way. Imagine it was a loss. That just happened to be one of the losses you take. He's like, he clearly sounds like if he's now able to afford the bootcamp, this is like money's tight for him. And he could have blown his life savings or whatever savings he had at the moment, and then he would have been an enemy for you. He would have hated you and probably been a hater and caused trouble. So kind of that makes sense of why. I mean, that decision of even starting WWE, just rewind a bit. We kind of sat on it for like 3-4 months, so majority of the lockdown, and then April time we were just like, let's just do it. We've been sitting on this for too long. Let's just do it, and we announced it, and
in 3 days.
Yeah, we're doing a boot. I think it was a Wednesday, and we're doing a boot camp this Saturday. So not even giving time people to, no time to promote it, no time to think about it. We're just like, boom, let's go. I don't think we even registered WWE as a company.
No.
It was just like, let's see what happens. And there was so much interest there. So, and then that boot camp did really well, and then kind of the rest is history. Of sold out boot camps, every single boot camp for a year of just organic growth, word of mouth, Trustpilot reviews. So that was a crazy period, and that's kind of how we've ended up. But
it was crazy because I remember when I sat down even with the accountant and we're just going over how many students we've had, and because we have to submit all of that kind of stuff, and just seeing that there was a point where we had a 400 people waiting list just waiting for boot camp after boot camp after boot camp, and I was like, what's so special about me that people want to come to me?
I mean, it's happened a lot in the industry now, and I think we don't give ourselves enough credit. But I don't want to say pioneer is a really strong word, but this risk to reward notion of smart money was around. ICT has been doing his thing for a generation essentially, and I think a lot of people have done really well off the back of his work. But then I think smart money had a second wave, which is around 2020, 2019, where they kind of went viral across different trading platforms. IML, all these kind of people caught on to smart money concepts. So people have now found an edge where they have better risk to reward. But it went from 1 to 1 to 1 to 3. Now smart money allowed a 1 to 5 to 1.
10 at the most.
1 to 10 at the most. And then we came along with it, showing public signals of 1 to 30. I remember my first 1 to 50 risk reward trade was also on Telegram on GN. So we were kind of doing things that nobody had heard of. Came with a lot of hate, came with a lot of skepticism, but it was like, what are these guys doing? Is this even real? And that's kind of why we had that viral moment. And now you see everyone trying to replicate, everyone trying to do the same thing off the back of our work, I'm sure. But that's just kind of how things play out. That's fine. But yeah, that was kind of a crazy year. But it was worth mentioning in that year, WWA was not in its final form. It's not like we started the boot camp, this is WWA, and it's unchanged for that year and a half now. I think every boot camp we've improved. Every single boot camp we've changed the curriculum, and we've improved as traders ourselves, because we started the first boot camp and the highest trade we had done was a 1 to 50. And then by boot camp 3 or 4, it was a 1 to 100. And by January 2021, it was a 1 to 200. A lot of things were changing along the way.
By March 2021, I had the Euro USD swing that I held for a full year by then.
Full year
by then. It was a buy on Euro USD. It went for full year. Alex had the GBP USD he held for a year. And the silver trade.
For like 6+ months.
And that was like...
No, we really became proper swing traders at that point. Investors, because we were holding things for months on end. I remember there's like highlight periods on our Instagram where it's like, 4-month update where you have the 4 months ago, this is the entry, and then 4 months later, this is kind of where it's ended up. So yeah, that's kind of the brief history of WWA, continuing to refine, and still to this day. And obviously we've had Raim come along and kind of transition things way deeper into intraday, and that's birthed a whole new thing. I think we'll do an episode with him. We'll kind of unpack what is lit and kind of it's crazy, mind-blowing stuff, but we'll let the man speak for himself. So that's kind of a brief history of Waly, of WWA. We'll do an episode with Alex as a 3 as well. We'll do one with Raim and JP as well. So a lot of things to unpack there. We didn't touch upon this crypto topic too much just yet, but I think what we'll do is make this podcast a part 2, because I think we're hitting the hour mark. But I think we just film it now. We'll kind of end this one, sign off, film another one.
We'll just wait on the YouTube channel for a week and it'll come out.
Oh, we're going to do that. Okay. We're going to do that.
You have to keep the suspense.
All right, but I have to say though, like as a preface, this episode of when we unpack crypto, a lot of people think they know crypto, but Waly, again, he's been a full-time trader for 2-3 years, a while pre-WWA, and then...
you know what's worth mentioning?
Yeah.
This day last year, we had the January 2021 boot camp.
Okay.
Do you remember what I did in Madrid this time last year?
Remind me.
Dogecoin.
Oh, this guy. Right. So this is why I was a bit of a skeptic in the beginning of his, because I was like, Waly, help me out, man. I see you making money in crypto. Help me out. He's like, get into Dogecoin. I'm like, no, this is a hype coin. Technical analysis is off. And then it went up a lot.
It's worth mentioning. At that time, Dogecoin was below 3 cents.
Yeah.
And at that time, I'll just say I put in 25 grand into Dogecoin. And I just ran out of my room. You two are then. I'm like, boys, I found the next investment. I put 25 grand into Dogecoin. You guys have to do it. And I was like, crypto's all about narrative, and like even with Dogecoin, it's a meme
you don't
coin.
follow utility, because that's not what gets pumped. It's what's the community feeling. Yeah, like GameStop.
Yeah. And that was the narrative at the time. And I knew it was a meme coin. I knew, like, as soon as I got 10x on it, I cashed out straight away. It went if I stayed fully into it, then it would have probably, I think the highest was a 21x or something, like 63 cents or something it reached. I can't remember from the top of my head. But I cashed out like 32, 33 cents. I did a 10x, took my money out straight away. I didn't even do like the partial process.
And you laughed at me. You're like, I told you so.
I told you so.
I was like, technical's off. This is, you don't, it was already decently high. I was like, you don't buy when it's high. You buy when it's low. I bought in the
middle of a bullish leg.
I was like, this guy's going to lose money, made a lot. But anyway, that's not the best way to kind of introduce your crypto finesse.
It's just because of the day.
Fair enough.
It's the history.
But like when we get into the episode, you'll see, because I knew he's done well in crypto, and I also knew you know a lot. But only over the last few days when we've had a lot of long conversations about it. So how much you know about gaming crypto, how much you know about low market caps, how much you know about staking, all these kind of things, NFTs as well. That and I think that's the reason I said it, because you've been a full-time trader for so long. And also this accident you had left you bedbound. You've been down so many rabbit holes over the last few months and years of just, you're basically, if you say, what's your full-time job? I think it's a researcher. You just go down rabbit holes and you do more research on things than anything else.
The amount of pages of white papers I read.
Literally. So that's kind of why I want to spend time, even though we're not crypto people. I'm not anyway. But I think we kind of speak on it because I think a lot of people will learn, because I have just by listening to you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Cheers, guys. That's kind of first episode with Waly. We'll kind of just change clothes and do another episode right now, but let's see when it gets uploaded. Thanks, guys.
Take care, everyone.